Hello, welcome to RCC's Math Tape 072, Solving Linear Equations, Number 1. This tape is the first of two tapes devoted to solving linear equations. We're going to increase the complexity of the equations from this tape to the next one. As you work with this tape, you will be expected to remember the addition property of equations, which allows you to add the same number to both sides of an equation without changing its solution. You also are expected to know the multiplication property of equations, which says that you can multiply both sides of an equation by the same non-zero number without changing the solution to the equation. We will make extensive use of both of these properties as we solve linear equations on this tape. Be sure to take accurate and thorough notes and mark on your paper any place you don't understand so that you can ask for help when you go to the lab. Also, be prepared to ask for help from an instructor or a tutor in the lab on any problems I give you that you have difficulty working correctly. Now let's begin the tape. Our objective on this tape is to solve linear equations using both the addition property and the multiplication property. Solve linear equations using both the addition property and the multiplication property. You should already be familiar with these two properties. If you are not, you need to view tape 071, which is Introduction to Equations. You will recall from the work on that tape that our goal in solving an equation is to end up with variable equals constant. Variable by itself on one side of the equation, constant on the other side of the equation by itself. Let's look at some examples in which we'll use both of these properties, both the addition and the multiplication properties. Our examples have as their instructions, solve each equation. Example 1 is 4x plus 1 equals 9. 4x plus 1 equals 9. Our goal is to get the variable by itself on one side of the equation. The variable in this equation is x. You notice that x has a coefficient 4. X has an extra term added to it, 1. And these two numbers keep the x from being by itself on one side of the equation. We must undo the extras so that we can get the x by itself. The procedure we must follow is first to eliminate the term that is on the same side of the equation with x. We eliminate the term 1 that is added to x by adding its opposite. The opposite of 1 is negative 1. And so our first step is to add negative 1 to both sides of the equation. We use the addition property first, add negative 1 to both sides of the equation. This gives us 4x plus 1 plus negative 1 equals 9 plus negative 1. On the left side, 1 and negative 1 add up to 0. They in effect cancel because adding 0 to one side of adding 0 to the 4x, rather, would not change the 4x. And so on the left we have 4x. On the right we have 9 plus negative 1, which is 8. Now we have the equation 4x equals 8. The x is still not by itself. We have the coefficient 4. To eliminate this coefficient, the multiplication property says that we can divide both sides of the equation by the coefficient 4. So we do exactly that, divide both sides by 4. On the left-hand side, Dividing by 4 cancels because 4 goes into 4 once, 4 goes into 4 once, and we get 1x over 1. 1x is x over 1 is x. That is, we have simply x. On the right hand side, 8 divided by 4 is 2. So we've determined that the solution is x equals 2. To find out whether we're correct, we go through the check procedure. To check, remember that we copy the equation down exactly as it appeared at the beginning. We had 4x plus 1 equals 9, and so we copy 4x plus 1 equals 9. Then we draw a line under the equation, and using the T format, we draw a vertical line below the equals mark. On the left side, the x is the variable that will be replaced by a set of parentheses to receive our possible solution. The possible solution is 2, and so we have 4 times the parentheses plus 1, which becomes 4 times 2 plus 1. On the right-hand side of the wall, we write just 9. On the left side, we have some simplifying to do. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 plus 1 on the left, 9 on the right, and 8 plus 1 is 9. We get 9 equals 9, which is true. That means that our solution, x equals 2, is correct. Notice that in solving the equation, where we had both an extra term being added and a coefficient with a variable, we began by eliminating the extra thing that was added. So we used the addition property before we used the multiplication property. Use the addition property to eliminate an extra term before eliminating a coefficient. That's the order we always follow. We can illustrate that with another example.